Hey guys, so today we're going to be continuing our historical fiction reading unit by kind of continuing some skills we have covered already when we are analyzing historical fiction. So, the goal for today is we will be learning to read and analyze historical fiction, but some of the skills that we'll be using are finding clues to figure out the setting and make inferences. We'll be going back and identifying details that kind of discuss the mood of what we're reading, and then also ways that we can describe the character by their actions and really what they're saying and what they're doing throughout the story. So, to continue, for us to become strong readers, in this session, we will focus on the importance of reading with a goal in mind, which means that readers pay particular attention at the start of a book to analyze the setting, when the story takes place, where, and what this place feels like. And additionally, the readers will think of all the elements or important parts that make up a good story, like the characters too. So, to continue with our goal for today, I want to teach you that at the very start of a story, readers pay particular attention to the mood and the atmosphere of the places in which stories are set. Readers realize that the story will almost never say, "This shows that trouble is brewing," or "This shows a sense of hope." So the author's not ever really going to say that. It's up to us as readers to go back and find the clues to figure out the type of place it is. Then we can consider what the character is doing or feeling and kind of tie that all in together. So we're going to be using our Read Aloud, The Butterfly by Patricia Polacco. And after you listen to the read aloud or read it a few times, just to kind of go over, The Butterfly tells a true story of an incident in the life of Patricia Polacco's aunt, Monique Sologit, who was a child in German-occupied France. So during a time when the Germans came and they were taking over all different parts of this country. And unbeknownst to little Monique, when she was a little girl, her mother was part of this group. It was called the French Resistance, meaning these people were really trying to help others and protect them. And one of the ways her aunt did this was by routinely hiding families in her cellar or her basement and keeping them safe until she could transport them and let them leave safely. So we're going to kind of revisit some sections of the story, thinking about the skills we're focusing on today, just to go back, thinking about what the author is really trying to tell us by using the details and figuring out the type of place we're reading about. So again, we're going to be asking, what clues is the author giving me that suggests what kind of place this is? And if you're noticing details that suggest change or trouble, and really stopping to think, what does this mean exactly? So, to remind you, it's important to ask, what does this place look and feel like? Do you notice trouble brewing? What are the characters doing? And I'm going to show you a little bit by what I mean, which I think will be helpful when it's your turn to go and give this a try. So I'm just going to go and read this excerpt from the text from The Butterfly. This is the beginning of the story, so I'm just going to reread it, and then I'm going to start thinking about what kind of place this is, what is the character doing, and is there trouble or change? So let's get started. It was unusually bright that night outside of Monique's small bedroom window in Choisy-Lauray, just outside of Paris. The moon was so radiant, it seemed almost festive. As Monique gazed up at it, she thought that the moon must not know that her village was occupied by Nazi troops. All of France was, for that matter. There was a terrible war raging in what, to Monique, seemed like most of the world. So already it seems like this place is a little dangerous, but Monique does feel safe in her room. But this night, the moon seemed not to care. She pulled off Panouf, her cat, up next to her and hugged and kissed her goodnight, then drifted off to sleep. Monique didn't quite know why she woke up, but suddenly she saw a ghostly little figure just next to the window on the end of her bed, a girl about her own age. She was petting Panouf. "Who are you?" Monique whispered. The ghost child wheeled and looked with sad eyes that seemed frightened, then spun and ran from the bedroom. I'm just going to stop there. And I'm again thinking about, what is the character doing? Is there trouble or change? Right away, some of my thoughts is, yeah, there's some trouble, and yeah, there's some change. She was in her room sleeping, and she woke up to find a little girl in her bedroom. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts that could help me kind of develop a deeper understanding of what the author is really teaching us, kind of like beneath all of the text that we see here. So the setting or place seems like a little girl's home where she lives with her mom. She notices a strange girl, and she gets worried and curious about her. Because in the text she was like, "Who are you?" So I'm thinking we don't have enough information. So what I want to show you here is we still need to read on. We don't have enough information to really answer these questions just yet, but they are getting me to start to think like, this could lead to trouble, or maybe it's just a dream. So in order for us to know, we're gonna find out. So we're gonna try this again, and I'm gonna be rereading the next section, and I want you guys to pay close attention to the setting, thinking about the ideas we just developed, and think about, is there signs of trouble? Maybe we do find out it's just a dream, or has anything changed? And to help you out, good readers use sentence starters to help our thoughts make sense by saying, well, the author probably included this part to, or the author probably included this part to help explain. And that's a good way to start developing your thinking. So let's check out what happens next. The next morning at breakfast, Monique could hardly wait to talk to her mother about the ghost, but her mother seemed almost angry. It wasn't like Marcel Saliage to be angry at anyone. "It was only a dream, child. Do you hear? Only a dream. Now go to school. God knows how much longer you will have the privilege of going to school with the war." Her mother's voice trailed off. Monique couldn't wait to get to school so that she could tell her best friend Denise about the ghost. Since Monique was an only child, Denise was like a sister to her. So again, thinking about what kind of place this is, what is the character doing, we're realizing that Monique is still really interested about what happened, and she feels like she needs to probably investigate it a little more, because we learned that her mom seems pretty angry, and she's usually not an angry person. So that has to show some sort of change or trouble. So let's continue reading. On their way home from school that afternoon, Denise asked Monique, "What did this ghost look like?" "She was dark and had very sad eyes," Monique answered. "Weren't you very, very frightened?" Denise asked her. "At first, yes, but the longer I looked at her, a feeling came over me. A feeling of fear for her," Monique answered. So going back and taking a look at some of my thoughts that I included here on the side, I started thinking, so let me go back to the beginning. So Monique tells her mom, Marcel, who we are learning is never angry. And I included here, you might see bolded, is the author probably included this part to make us think something must be going on that she's not telling us quite yet. Because if the author left that part out, we would just think, yeah, her mom's angry and maybe she's just an angry person. But the author included, it wasn't like her to be angry at anyone. So do you see how that's that small sentence is such an important detail, and the author probably included that to let us know something else is going on. This makes me think that there must be something bad happening. Or maybe not so bad, because in the text, Monique says she starts to think the girl is scared herself. Maybe she needs help? We don't know. So the next step for us as readers would be taking these thoughts and continuing to read and seeing how these changes that are happening, because already there was so much change, can connect to our ideas. Is there trouble brewing? What is the author telling us, or what is the author not telling us, and what are we figuring out as we're reading? So, how can we practice this? Kind of like just what you saw. Readers pause to consider the ideas they have about the setting or the mood and the characters in a text. It is important to start thinking, is there trouble? What is the character doing or feeling? And how do you know this? So just like back in this part of the text, we can start saying the mood is a little bit curious, or the mood is feeling, kind of like unknown. We don't really know what's happening. It could be a little scary. And then after doing so, you read on to come up with new ideas or see if your ideas change. And again, it's important to add on to your ideas by saying, the author probably included this part in order to show, and you can extend your thinking that way. And just to add on, as always, like you saw in my thinking, I continue to use prompts to push my thinking, like this makes me think, or this connects to, or even in the text it says. So today you're going to practice this by rereading the text a few more times and checking out the student activity on our Google Classroom for today, and trying your best to include ways to push your thinking, and also it's also important for you to include answers to these thought prompts, like what kind of place this is, what is the character doing, and is there trouble brewing.